Welcome to day 61 of our school year. Go ahead and start in a new row of 10. Okay, let's get down our beginning fraction. So our denominator is 180 because that's our total amount of school days, and we're on day 61. So what we will need to do now is find the factors of 61. Two factors we always know are 1 and the number itself. And using the commutative property of multiplication, we can write it as 61 times 1. Now we're going to go through our divisibility rules, and we're going to go in order. So after 1, we try 2. The rule for 2 is that it ends in an even number. 1 is odd, so 2 is not a factor. And if 2 is not a factor, no even number will be. So we just need to check odd numbers. So next we try 3. The rule for 3 is that we add the digits together. 6 plus 1 equals 7. 7 is not a multiple of 3, so 3 is not a factor. We try 5. The rule for 5 is that it ends in a 0 or 5. It ends in a 1, so 5 is not a factor. We try 7. 7, 14, 21, 28, 35, 42, 49, 56, 63. 61 is not in that list, so 7 is not a factor. We try 9. 9 has the same rule as 3. We add the digits together. We get 7. 7 is not a multiple of 9, so 9 is not a factor. We try 11. 11, 22, 33, 44, 55, 66. 61 is not in that list, so 11 is not a factor. I think I'm going to look and see if 61 may be prime. Yes. So I check on my prime number sieve. 61 is circled. It is prime, and if it is prime, that means it has exactly 2 factors, 1 and the number itself. So what we need to see now is if 61 works or not. If it does, then that is our greatest common factor. If not, then 1 is. So let's make our groups of 61. Your groups do not have to look like mine, but they do have to have 61 in each. And you don't want to have your shaded with your unshaded. So here, 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. That's too many. 10, 20, 30, 40, 59, 60, 61. And then I have 10, 20, 30, 40, 58 left. That's not enough to make a group of 61, so that means 61 does not work. And we need to make our groups of 1. Done. There's all our groups of 1. How many total groups of 1 do we have? 180. How many are shaded in? 61. We still need to write our equation though and prove it with our algorithm. We always want to prove it in more than one way. So we're going to do 180 divided by 1. And 61 divided by 1. So if I do 100 times 1, that's 100. Numbers the same, zeros the game. More on top, no need to stop. And 80 times 1 is 80. Numbers the same, zeros the game. Here, 60 times 1 is 60. I get 1. 1 times 1 is 1. Numbers the same, zeros the game. Add our partial quotients. 100 plus 80 is 180. Here, 60 plus 1 is 61. So we still need to check our answers. To check, it is the divisor times the quotient plus the remainder. Divisor times quotient plus remainder. Since the remainder for both is 0, and the identity properties of addition says when you add 0 it stays the same, You don't need to actually add. But what we end up with here is the identity property of multiplication. It says that when you multiply by 1, it stays the same. So 61, that matches our dividend up here, check. 180 matches our dividend up here, check. So our fraction is definitely 61 over 180. Okay, so now let's go ahead and fill in our data collection page. All right, finally we are now into trimester 2, week 1. Today is 11/4/19. And our fraction for today, 61/180th. 61 is prime. It is not a factor of 180, so our only common factor is 1, and making groups of 1. Here we have 61/180th. There's nothing lined up below it because it is our simplest form, our equivalent fraction in lowest terms. Okay, go ahead and erase your worksheet, and thank you for joining me.